So, how should I start? This was a small beginning when I first came to Long Island almost 50 years ago. There were no Jains, or there were two families but not practicing. And fast forward, Anup Doshi came and we had little gathering. Lucky if we had three families sit down and do Samay Pratikaman and all the Jain things, and slowly it grew, and now it's too big for me to handle, which is good news. But as many people know over here, over the years, basic Jain principles, ahimsa, anekant, aparigraha, and modern technology comes up with management principles, something like elevator speech. There were no elevators and there were no tall buildings before. So how you describe ahimsa? They say, well, do no harm. Well, we say it's not the oath only doctors and physicians takes, but all of us. And add one more word, do not hurt. Do no harm, do no hurt. That's ahimsa. Aparigraha. Well, it's a long definitions and many things, but we say minimalism, as little as possible. Or, like last year's topic, respect for environment. Those are the important things. Modern world comes up with a new word, but we Jain has been doing these things for more than 2,600 years. And the third one topic for today, anekantvad. Well, as the name implies, so many of us today say too many different ways, anekantvad, and that's what it is. But elevator speech, you say Om, which is very important symbols for all Eastern faith, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. So that Om, one way to spell is O-M, and to remember it, it's open mind. That's anekantvad, open mind. And American will always say, even though they are 100% sure, they will say to other guy, you may be right. It's very important to say, you may be right. And that's anekant. With my exposure to Jainism from the birth, coming in America with Long Island Multi-Faith Forum and Shanti Fund, I get an opportunity to go beyond most people's boundary. So recently, beginning of this month, from April 6 to April 22, my wife Ela and I went to Iran. Now, many of you know that Iran and USA do not have diplomatic relations, so you can't get a visa. It's not easy. But traveling to Iran or for Iranian to come to USA is still permitted. Having very long civilizations, Iran has many interesting things to see and teach and learn. So in our trip, we were 16 of us, and there were two John. In the beginning, I used to get confused. One was John Kaiser with his wife. Another one was John Fairfield with his wife. John Fairfield, many of you know, Rosetta Stone. He was the creator and founder of Rosetta Stone. John Kaiser was very unusual personality. So we were the only two Jain. And with Eli having more restrictive diet than myself in a meat-eating country, was everybody will come and try to learn about Jainism. None of them knew a word such as Jainism. So they were intrigued and curious. So John Kaiser, who wrote a book, Commander of the Faithful, The Life and Times of Emir Abdul Qadir, which he described as Gandhi of Islam. He confronted French Empire when he was in Algeria. French ruled Algeria. And he was more interested, and I think it was third day we had discussed it. And like I mentioned to you, elevator speech, I quickly described, because he was exceptionally intelligent and brilliant fellow, he picked up very well. And to my surprise, he practiced Jainism. every day in the morning he would eat very little for breakfast. He says, this is my way of minimalism, just have the little yogurt or something like that. And very important one was that at the end of our session trip, there was a group presentation, and he made a presentations, and he always, whenever we go, we were together, and he tried to learn more and pick my brain. And he used the word of Jainism quite frequently, and minimalism was one of them, a paragraph. And the second one was much more important. He emphasized several times, and he said, partially blind. We are all partially blind. We are all partially blind. And to me, just having out of 16 people, 14 people know something about Jainism and other people. And the same thing happened in Kazakhstan, same thing happened in Turkey and Jordan and Egypt and all Muslim countries where exposure to Jainism, in fact, exposure to any other faith is very minimal. I mean, all of them, Christianity and Judaism, were present long time, but still they are extreme minority. The other thing, there was a gentleman who is doing PhD, Chris Miller, who was here on April 2nd or April 3rd, and he's doing PhD under Chris Chappell, who is scholar of Jainism and Hinduism. And Chris Miller and Chris Chappell, and we were in India together attending Jain seminar. And Chris Miller, quite often he used the word, describe the elephant story as 7 blind people. And I had to restrain myself, but at the end, one time I told him that you should say 7 blindfolded people, because if you are permanently blind, you will never see the elephant. But if you are blindfolded, you can open your eyes, remove the blindfold, and you will see the truth. And that's what it is. That's my little contribution for today. And as usual, I have to thank each and every one for organizing this thing, particularly Joanne and Gathering of Light, all the groups doing, and whatever our small community. By the way, what you see Jain over here is lucky. If you usually see 700 people, you see 1 Jain. Here with less than 100 people, you see too many Jains. So let's all be thankful, and let's celebrate Mahavir Jayanti. Thank you very much.